Story number 1. Grandma's Revenge. So I'm writing these lines during the first days of August 2023. Okay, so disclaimer, I'm on mobile, writing in a rush. The story was relayed to me by grandparents, so it may be embellished. Yada yada yada. Let's go to the story. I immediately have to write this down because it's the most amazing thing I have ever heard. I was visiting my grandma and grandpa to celebrate a bunch of summer birthdays together. But when I pulled up to their house, the plot to their right was completely empty. As in, no stones, no base, no debris, just slightly overgrown grass. Grass, where there used to be a house. When the hellos were said and the party started, I absolutely had to know what happened. So I went to ask my grandparents, and goodness gracious, I was not expecting the roller coaster of a story that they told me. A couple of years ago, my grandparents had some very unpleasant neighbors. Loud at all hours, trash in the yard, arguing with other people on the street. Just absolute nuisances. It was a husband and a wife, and their adult son who would come and go irregularly. The wife would get into arguments with anyone about anything, and the husband would physically intimidate the people who spoke up for themselves. They weren't sure what exactly was the deal with the son, but it couldn't have been anything good, as it was well known that he had been in the county jail more than a few times. The house apparently reflected the tenants, as it looked awful. It was sagging and dilapidated, loose beams and peeling paint. But nothing was ever done about it due to the guy who rented out the place being a slumlord. We'll get to him later. It all came to a breaking point one night when my grandparents returned home to find their back door smashed in and some of my grandpa's guitars missing. Now, grandpa loves his music and has been singing and playing his whole life. So it's safe to say those guitars are not only very memorable to him, but damn expensive too. They of course went to the police, and after some digging they found that the guitars have been sold at a pawn shop or some place by the sun. They couldn't get the guitars back, unfortunately, but I believe my grandparents were fairly compensated since the guitars were insured. Today I learned that guitars have insurance. Given how expensive the guitars were, the theft was absolutely a felony, and the son once again ended up in jail. After that, the neighbors would harass my grandparents through the fence or on their porch, meaning it was difficult for them to even sit outside. They would call them foul names, throw trash over the fence, and the husband would still try to get physical. Now, while my grandpa is a very chill and mellow guy, my grandma will take shit from no one, especially not jerks like this. So what did she do? She got the house condemned. It was easy for her to do it. Really. She called the local authorities, the general attorney or property manager, I don't know. And they came and did an inspection, though it was clear by the outside of the house that it hadn't been properly maintained for a long time. One call led to more calls, and the property was deemed unfit to live in, which forced the rude neighbors to move out. I'm not sure what happened to them or where they went, but supposedly they were put up in a nearby hotel by the slumlord until the house could be fixed. Oh, the foreshadowing. Now enter the slumlord. Of course his tenants told him who had reported the house. So of course he's upset with my grandparents. Rather than fix the house though, he gets aggressive the first day he's there, yelling at my grandparents about how they are idiots for reporting him and how they've cost him a bunch of money and he's gonna sue them and on and on and on. It gets to the point where the across the street neighbors call the local police to come defuse the situation, which they do. A few weeks pass, and my grandma hasn't seen the slumlord or anyone around to fix the house. Not being one to let things go easily, Grandma starts making frequent calls to a bunch of services, reporting the house and its lack of progress. Each time, the slumlord's truck would appear for a day and then leave without changing a thing. Grandpa said that he would block in their driveway, but since they stay home most of the time, it wasn't a major issue. Grandma disagreed. Finally, my grandma had complained enough that officials came out and condemned the house for demolition. This had two major effects. First, the rude neighbors were now practically homeless, since as soon as they and the slumlord ran out of money to pay for the hotel, they would be stranded. Second, the slumlord still had to pay a shitload of fines for the state of the house. The rest is more his fault than my grandma's actions. But he would refuse to pay and refuse to show up in court, leading to a warrant being put out for his arrest. A few months ago, the demolition team came and tore down the place, leaving the lot perfectly barren. They even removed the driveway, so now it just looks like an extension of the side yard. My grandparents were not sure of the final state of the neighbors and slumlord, but my grandma looked very pleased with herself as she finished her story. I love her so much. Oh, yes, an elderly person with lots of time on her hands and seemingly enough patience to use it. Definitely someone you want to pick a fight with. You know how neighborhoods are at around the same age because it seems they all move into the neighborhood at around the same stage in life. That means the started home, upgraded house, forever home, etc. Well, my parents live in such a neighborhood. Majority of the neighbors are above 60 years old. So, if neighbors fight, everyone will hear about it and pick a side in an hour. My mom fills me in on what's happening when I spend the weekend at my parents' house. And beware the youngster that shows disrespect. My mom called the cops when the son of the next door neighbor was fighting with the grandson of the woman who lives across the street because his car or motorcycle was making too much noise. Grandson is the type that wants the whole world to know how great his vehicles are. The neighbors took turns calling the cops on him until his grandmother told him to move out for her sake. Story number 2. That's my dog. This story was written at some point during the final days of May 2023. Firstly, on mobile, so sorry in advance for formatting or spelling or etc. This is a revenge story that I was happy to witness. So, a little bit of background. There is a humane society shelter near where I live, and I and my friends go on there on weekends to see the cats and help socialize them. During this visit, they were introducing a new litter of puppies that were all ready to be adopted, and this will be relevant later. Let me set the scene. The volunteers are behind the desk. A couple looking to adopt is sitting and playing with the puppies, and I'm by one of the cats saying my hellos. I'm not sure when she came in, but I noticed when she raised her voice. A wild Karen had come in claiming that one of the dogs the shelter had was hers, a sweet pit bull terrier named Toffee. The volunteers and shelter owner went through the usual procedure, asking her breed, age, color, things that all could be seen on their website, which the Karen answered with increasing agitation. Then they asked if she had been spayed, microchipped, etc., all to which the Karen answered yes. However, they revealed that Toffee had come to them 6 months ago, no microchip and pregnant. The puppies out that day weren't hers, but I digress. The Karen stutters, And at this point, everyone can tell that she's trying to just take a dog for free. At this moment, Toffee comes out from the kennels since they had to bring her out. The woman sees this and starts calling her, which is the name that the shelter gave her, not any other name that the dog might recognize. What's better, Toffee completely ignores the woman and instead goes over to the couple, far more interested in the puppy in the wife's arms. At this point, Karen became aggressive, trying to grab the leash from the volunteer and cursing at the staff behind the desk. The owner tells her that they won't be giving her the dog since she got the health information wrong. The dog did not recognize her, and that Toffee has been with them for 6 months and she was even on the news trying to get people to claim her. Typically, a lost dog is picked up within a week. The shelter is very good about this. The owner tells her to leave, and Karen huffs and stomps, saying she's got pictures and proof and all that. When asked to show this, instead of pulling out her phone or wallet or anything, she leaves the building, getting into her car and driving off. Everyone kinda laughed at the situation, and the owner stated that no one could see Toffee without her present. At this time, the wife placed the puppy she had been holding, looked like a Labrador mixed, cute little golden baby, and suddenly, Toffee starts huffing, something she hadn't done before. The volunteer shushes her, but the wife says, "Oh, did I take away your friend? I'm so sorry," and brings the puppy back out, which calms Toffee down. The husband then picks up some treats and gets Toffee to follow a few commands: sit, shake, etc., which she does with a smile. The couple share a look and, to my absolute delight, ask about adopting both the puppy and Toffee. At this point, the shelter was closing and me and my friend were ready to leave, but I did see them with the applications at the table and pens in hand. I'm not sure if they adopted her with revenge in mind, but it was both heartwarming and hilarious to see Toffee so happy and know that the Karen would not be stealing her away. If it matters, and because it's cute, I thought the couple were thinking of naming the puppy Butterscotch. Aww, ain't that sweet? Story number 3. A little musical holiday revenge. This happened in January 2023. Quick disclaimer. This is not my story but a relative's. But when hearing about it, I felt it might fit here. First post, long-time lurker. Enjoy. So, I'm 17 years old as I'm writing this and I'm a girl. So I just started winter break after a band concert to celebrate the holidays. This wasn't a formal one on a stage or anything, but more like a pep rally assembly deal where we played in the gym for the school. Now, since it's the holiday season, all the music was Christmas themed. The thing is, I live in a pretty diverse area, and additionally, I'm Jewish. I had asked the band director if we could play a Hanukkah song at some point between the Christmas ones. Nope. He said that there was no Hanukkah music and we'd only play the Christmas stuff. Now, initially I was like, okay, I get it. There aren't a lot of songs, but there are some. I asked around and found out about another musical group, jazz band I think, and it was going to play a Hanukkah song, but it had to be cut for reasons I don't know. When I brought this up to the band director, saying we could use it, since the other group wasn't, keep in mind this would all be possible for us, and we even had a duplicate song with other groups, he still refused. This time he was short and rude to me, stating that we would only play Christmas music, not holiday music, not winter music, but specifically Christmas. I was upset. I may not be strictly religious, but the insistence that only Christmas music was important to him irritated me. I went back to my seat for practice, and when classes started, he made an announcement. Instead of the typical white shirt, or blouse we had to wear for performances. We were to wear red or green sweaters. Even better if they were Christmas themed. I was like, what the heck? Again, we're in a very diverse area, and I was not the only person upset with the lack of representation. Then an idea came into my mind, a plot of passive-aggressive rebellion. On the day of the performance, we all gathered in the band room before heading over to the gym. Everyone wore green and red sweaters or shirts under their hoodies. Everyone except me. Everyone except me. Instead of what he requested, I wore a rich blue sweater that stuck out like a sore thumb in the sea of Christmas. When the director saw me, his smile faltered and he looked upset, but didn't have time to say anything to me as we walked out. Now, one of my favorite parts. I'm in a section leader, and I sit in first chair during sit-down performances, so everyone would see me from the bleachers, even the ones at the bottom. The effect it had was emphasized when we only played Christmas music, and when the performance and applause ended, I could see some people whispering and pointing at my sweater and glancing at the director. He looked uncomfortable at the whispering and didn't stick around for the rest of the assembly. So, mission accomplished. How silly and how petty do you have to be to put such limitations? Oh my god, that director is such an idiot. Anyway, moving on.